Joining us now is one of the stars of the new series, Matthew Daddario. Welcome to HuffPost Live. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, this has debuted with so much fanfare because people are really diehard fans.
Oh, yeah.
The books, there was a film that came out there too. Does that, how does that feel to be part of something that already has a built-in following?
Feels fantastic. In fact, it was actually really when I first got booked on this, was the very surprising realization that the fans are very intense and very enthusiastic, and they came out in droves to support us, which has been really great so far.
Were you a fan of the series before this?
I had known about the series from the movie, and I had actually previously auditioned for some of the characters in that film, and so I had heard of it. But then I guess I just didn't do much with it until the show came out, and then I started reading and then getting obsessed with the world and diving into it.
Now you're fully in it.
Yeah, now I'm fully in it. Now I know everything.
And okay, so for those who are not in the know,
yes.
What is a shadow hunter? Explain to us how this all works.
Well, shadow hunters are these kind of half angel, half human hybrids who defend the world from these interdimensional demons and the various evil forces that inhabit the earth amongst the regular people, which we call mundanes. And there's also these things called downworlders, who are not necessarily bad, but the shadow hunters and sort of the old world shadow hunters kind of have a problem with them. And those include vampires and werewolves and other fun things like that.
All right, so when you say old world shadow hunters, what's the new generation like?
The new generation is the kids like me and my stepbrother Jace and my sister Isabel. And now, as we learn, Clary as well, who is played by Kat McNamara. And the old world ones have created a set of problems that we're trying to deal with, including a very evil man named Valentine, who comes along and causes trouble for us.
Valentine. I think
Yes.
that's a good name,
Yeah,
right,
Valentine's
for a
great.
villain, because it's very tricksy.
Yeah, you don't think that Valentine
You wouldn't
would be
expect
mean.
that one.
No, you think he's a person of love, but we've been fooled.
That is
before.
right. I want to bring up a question here from one of our commenters saying, Matthew, what was the physical training process like?
What was it like? It was endless. My God, you have to watch your food intake, and you have to run, and you have to work out, because you're supposed to look like these shadow hunters.
Sucks, yeah.
I know, just endlessly. But you get up in the morning, and when I first started, I was running first thing in the morning, and then running when I got home, and kind of, running myself ragged there. And eating a diet mostly consisting of chicken and maybe some vegetables. And it wasn't very fun, to be honest. But then eventually you start to get obsessed with it and you enjoy it. And by the end, we were all real fitness freaks, which was good because the shadow hunters are supposed to be, in very, very good shape.
And so at this point, have you diversified at all? Is it still just chicken? Please
No.
tell me something else.
As soon as the show ended, I stopped paying as much attention to, that kind of thing as I should have. But I have been getting back into shape recently.
And so what else does your routine involve? Come on, there's a lot of people out there that want to know.
I don't,
So obviously, it's not easy to look good as you've laid out for us.
Running, eating well. I don't know. And then you're supposed to lift weights
do
too.
you drink?
No, you don't drink when you're getting in shape. You can't drink. Alcohol is like the worst one.
I know, but that's I feel like seems like the hardest one and the least fair one.
Of course it is, because that's the one that we all love.
Yeah.
But it's the hardest to give up besides
you need
cheese
something
and
after
bread.
you've been starving yourself and
Yes,
pushing
of
your body
course,
all day,
You
right?
want a little relaxation, but no, for 6 months it was basically nil.
All right, that's brutal, but that's dedication
Yes.
to your
It's a real
craft, right?
dedication. You're not getting drunk all the time.
I think that's a big deal. All right, now I want to bring in a question here from one of our community members who left a video for you, so let's take a listen to that.
Hello, I'm Carolyn. I'm a big fan and I wanted to ask you first, was it fun for you to play Alec? 2, what was the most difficult part in playing Alec? And 3, is the character related to you in real life? Bye.
Do I like playing Alec was 1, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, Alec is, and this sort of comes into 3 as well. Alec, I feel like I share a lot in common with Alec in a lot of ways. I think that Alec is a very admirable person, a person who cares about others and works toward the well-being of his family and of his the organizations that he's part of. But at the same time, as a result of this kind of adherence to duty and the feeling being necessary to take care of those that he loves, he sort of has ignored himself and what he needs to do to be happy. And I think that, you know, luckily over the course of this first season, we get to watch watch him sort of progress from this kind of closed character to a more open person. But he always kind of keeps a little bit of a little chip on his shoulder. But he also is, you know, he's just generally actually a really sweet guy. And what was number two? Number two.
Well, so you're a sweet guy, or you have the chip on your shoulder?
I think I am. I think I got both.
Wait, which
I don't know.
one is the one that relates
I think
to you?
that everybody wants to sort of help others, and you know, at least, you know, good people in general, right? But you also have trouble kind of focusing on yourself sometimes, and I think that that's sort of a transition that you go through, you know, over the course of your life. And we all know people who have to, you know, deal with issues with you know, their love lives and their personal lives and their families and their work life, and then try to juggle all these things while at the same time, you know, trying to work on yourself.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, Alec, also, your character is gay.
Yes.
Right? And so, I mean, that's not something that we used to see every day on
No.
television. Definitely not.
He's also actually very interesting for the fact that he's so sort of focused on all these other things that he doesn't get a chance to really look at that and really evaluate how he's feeling, and it sort of scares him. And then over the course of the series, obviously in the books, that sort of changes when he meets someone and starts to realize that he can be happy even if maybe some people won't approve of what he's doing. But being yourself obviously is far more important than trying to appease everyone around you.
That's right. Are there any challenges or actually, speaking of that, number two, the question was, what is the challenge to play
to play
Alec?
Alec, right.
Yeah, so in general, what are the challenges, and how do you approach it too in terms of the sexual orientation? Does that affect you at all?
I mean, the challenge to playing Alec was really just making sure that in the beginning you get the sense that he's closed off, and I think that comes across. That's pretty easy to sort of to play. I mean, not easy, but then also to then turn him into someone else, and I guess that's more fun than difficult. I don't know. I don't know. It was such an enjoyable process that anything that was difficult kind of got lost. Yeah.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah.
I just want to bring up another tweet here too, in terms of, we were talking about the built-in fan base. You said, I'm trying to respond to people, but honestly, you guys, it's so many tweets.
Oh, yeah.
Which is an awesome problem. It does sound like an awesome problem to have, but how do you deal with it? And what have fans been saying to you so far?
Man, they're so endlessly supportive, and I do see their messages. Like I do see what they write, you know, as much as I can within reason. But when you're trying to respond to everybody, and everybody's got different requests, you know, you really can't. You got to sort of try to, you know, pick and choose. But then that's not really fair to everyone, is it? You know, that's kind of
life isn't fair.
No, it's not fair. So in this case, you know, I was live tweeting, and I think that there were something like 6 or 7 tweets a second. It was just I couldn't keep track. So I just sort of tweeted generally about the show. So that's sort of how I've handled it. But I do see your messages.
So in order to not ignore a couple people, you're ignoring mostly everyone, to be fair.
That's an interesting way of putting it. You know, I haven't really thought about it like that. I more thought that I'm just going to be...
I'm just giving you a hard time. You know, it's,
No, I
can't imagine having that many people to respond to.
Oh, it's nice. It's a good problem to have, as I think I said. Yeah.
Are there haters? You know, is there a negative side or aspect to this too? Are there trolls?
I don't know.
I want to know who the Shadowhunter trolls
by saying
are.
no, I'm inviting them, but no, not really. And also, the fan base is so kind of universally positive that any kind of negativity just gets, you know, thrown to the side.
Yeah, I don't really
Also,
know what people would be trolling
I don't think nowadays also
about.
people really pay much attention to that. I feel like everyone's very well trained in that now, and just sort of to ignoring kind of the negatives, and for the most part everything's been very positive, so I don't really notice.
Because you're a man.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. You know, you could tear me down.
I hate to break it to you, you know, but I feel like because you're not getting, you know, nasty, horrible, sexist tweets to you.
No, I do get some messages that are a little odd, like things that would be viewed as a little bit aggressive. You know, if you were to change the sexes, I'm not really sure how it works. I'm not really sure what's going on. But
Like a
people have
little
different-
inappropriate?
Yeah, some inappropriate ones.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
How does your girlfriend feel about that? I mean, I guess she just knows it comes with the territory.
Oh yeah, she just finds it amusing. Yeah, I think she laughs at me.
She
for the most
probably
part.
gets it too, right?
Oh, people are lovely to her too.
Yeah.
She's a lovely person.
In terms of the diehard fans also, how closely does the show follow the books? You know, can people already know what to expect story-wise?
For the
or is
most
this gonna
part,
take
yes.
them on an
I mean,
adventure?
we follow the storyline to keep track of, especially with the characters and how they are. And for the most part, we follow the same kind of trajectory, but we have to sort of speed certain things up. So we have, elements from all the books in the first series, in the first season. And at the same time, we do diverge slightly in order to create some very sort of fun things that more play on TV than they would in the book.
I feel like there's always been room for this genre too, right? There's something that young people love about watching other young people, but
Yes.
especially in a fantasy type of setting where they're battling some kind of demons. Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah,
you
I
a
mean, it's
Buffy
not an
fan?
uncommon. It's not an uncommon.
Yeah,
thing.
but,
I see a
but
lot
it's-
of comparisons.
But it is a
with
tried
Buffy.
and true.
Yes, it is.
Model.
I think that it's fun. I say this a lot, but I think that the cardinal sin of TV or any kind of entertainment medium is being boring, and I think that this kind of young adult material lends itself to not being boring. And I think that the one thing our show never is boring. So we are very. It's an exciting show. It's something you continue want to watch. Mm-hmm. And I think that these kind of series really enable that because we deal with real human issues in a kind of insane setting. With all these different creatures and fantastic things. So I think that it's very fun for that reason.
How realistic are those creatures?
I mean, how,
Well, I gotta say, they're not a horrible quality because thinking back to certain shows like
Oh
this
my
in the
God,
past,
can you
sometimes
imagine?
those creatures, you're like, oh God,
yeah.
they just look so bad and so cheesy, but
the
thank God
VFX
for
team did a
technology.
fantastic job, and we really, and a lot of good practical effects, and the makeup on some of these demons is very, very scary. Seeing them in real life was very creepy. In fact, they'd be walking around and talking with you, and you kind of don't want to look at them because they're creeping you out so much.
Yeah, it's definitely it's impressive stuff. I think the way
Yeah.
that they did it. Now, your sister is also an actress.
She is.
So this runs in the family.
It does now, I guess. I didn't previously, but now it appears
who was
that
first, though? Who
she
started?
was first by
She was
far.
first.
Yeah. She's a tried and true actress. She's been doing it since she was 12 or younger, and has had tremendous amount of success in film and television.
Sorry, just fixing my mic for a second here. Everybody ignore this, pretend it's not happening. But I guess my question is, I don't know what to say about it. It just wants to go where it wants to go. Were you inspired by her to start
Of course,
acting?
I think
or-
that I never would have pursued it in the first place if I hadn't seen somebody that that I'm close to succeed in it or try it. It was something obviously that's very appealing, and I've come to love it. It's part of my life now in a way that I can't imagine ever having not gone into it. I mean, it's kind of terrifying to think.
Did you ever have another, I want to be this and that when I grow up?
I don't know. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be an astronaut, but the astronaut has there's some difficulty getting into that. The barriers to
little bit.
entry are significant. So actor was easier than astronaut, but harder than a lot else. Yeah.
I like that. I just watched The Martian the other night.
Oh, yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, I mean, it's a movie, obviously, it's
Yes.
fiction, but I'm like, oh, you have to be so smart
Yeah.
to be an astronaut.
Yeah,
This
no,
is
you have
why
to know
I
a
could
lot.
never do this.
Yes. Or they could just, if they're watching NASA, you can just send me up anytime. I'm pretty smart. I can probably fix something.
And and if we need people to perform the first
Something
play
in space
or something
I mean,
in space.
who's not going to watch that? Who's not going to
Everybody
watch?
would watch
Who's
that.
not going to watch Hamlet in space? I mean, Space Hamlet.
Sign me up.
Yeah, I'm watching that.
I'm in.
Like crazy if you don't.
You've also you've done some commercials in
Mm-hmm.
the past too. How different is that?
Oh man.
Talk to us about what that aspect is like of acting compared to being on like a hit show.
I mean, certain elements are the same. Like it depends on the commercial, but they're two different worlds completely. And one is very fulfilling, and one is not. Not to say the commercials aren't exciting, but it's not fulfilling in the same way that getting to play a character for 13 episodes. I mean, 13 hours of TV, and I mean that's very exciting. And movies also occupy an entirely different space. And I've said this earlier, that movies I feel like are short stories. You know, you're compressing something into 2 hours. It's not a very long time. And so even with the greater epics, you're just telling a little piece. And so what does that really mean? How does it compare to being an actor on TV? It's kind of a complex topic.
And I guess it makes sense that more than the one and done, right? You
Yeah,
actually get to
you know,
explore
yeah,
a
absolutely. You have to
character
explore
rather
it,
than
yes,
going
for
in
seasons
for a day
at
at a
times,
time.
which is great.
Another fun fact about your family. So we're just going to talk about your family.
Go
Not
ahead.
only your sister, but your grandfather was a congressman from Connecticut.
Yeah.
So why didn't you go into politics?
Because he was a congressman in Connecticut. Because he warned us not to go into politics.
He did.
I think that there's you know, I don't know. I never really thought about it. Why not? I'm not really sure. I think that he also had a lot of interests in, you know, in science and engineering as well. Of course, he wasn't a scientist, but I think that sort of led us into being interested in those fields, and then I'm not really sure what drew me away from that. You know, I've never really considered it. It's probably things that I should be thinking
Do
about
you,
as an adult.
no, I don't mean to make you question your
No.
life choices here. Do you follow politics closely?
A little bit, at times.
At times. What
Yeah.
do you make of, you know, of what's happening right now with the 2016 race? Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders.
I think that you've got a bunch of people running, and I think that you know, I don't know really what to make of it. I think at times you start to wonder, you know, this is like one of these conversations you're not supposed to have. Politics. You know, you're not really supposed to have the
This is
conversation.
what I do for a
so I'm gonna
living all
express
day, so-
very little opinion, but I would say that I think that it's interesting that a lot of people don't want to get into politics, and I wonder what the reason for that is. And you think that there would be some very, very good competitive candidates who would come from different fields or would sort of pop their heads up, but they don't. And what is the reason for that? And I don't really know. I'm not really sure what the process, what step along the process prevents different people from entering. Because it feels like now I've just been hearing about the same 4 people for the past year,
Yeah.
but why?
Well, I think that, you know, perhaps people don't look up to politicians the way that they used to or the way that you're supposed to.
That's possible.
Right? It's not really something to aspire to in the sense that you are,
Yeah, it's not. It's
you know,
not as much
are
a
leaders that
position
people
of,
want to be in
Yes, you know, you think that people go into other sort of leadership positions instead of politics, and there's other areas of celebrity, and in some ways, politicians have sort of become mini celebrities, and you sort of look more at their lives than you do at their policies, and more at the way they sort of present themselves on TV than the way they actually will present themselves in making decisions. So I think it's a tough space to be involved in, and that scares some people away.
well, I think people are very aware of the influence that money has
Yeah.
in the system, too. I want to bring up another question here from Twitter. And this says, Matthew, what is your favorite animal after cows? If anybody goes and
Do
looks
like
at your
cows.
Instagram account, you're a big animal lover
Yes.
in general. There are a lot of
Yeah.
animal pics up there.
No, yeah. I think that they, just for the future, it's going to continue to dominate my sort of social media
Okay.
space, just so people are aware. But my second favorite animal, oh man, that gets tough. You know, you can't really, I like owls. They don't like me, but I like owls. And I like llamas. Yeah. All kinds of animals.
Those are good choices. Why cows? Why are they so near and dear to you?
I don't know. I guess they're friendly, they seem sweet, and they give you milk. So that's good. Those are 3 good things. I mean, cows, everyone likes it. Who doesn't like cows? That's madness. Also, they're agile, and they have a sweet demeanor in general.
Yeah, they're pretty great. They're a little smelly.
Well,
a little on the
But
stinky side.
if humans lived in a barn, we'd be smelly too. We just shower all the time. And I think cows don't have that luxury. I think we should provide more showers for cows.
Okay.
There's a business in that somewhere.
Wise words from Matthew Daddario. Well, before we wrap it up here, what else can people expect from this season of Shadowhunters as it gets
I
going?
feel like every episode gets better and better, not because each episode on its own stands better than others, but because we really have this build, and I think you become increasingly attached to these characters, and by the end, I think that people are really going to be hanging on and really tuning in, because it gets really fun, and the stakes get higher and all that kind of cliche, but they really do.
All right, so hang on, everyone. Going to be a wild ride. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure.